uh, in in the year 1928. So we know that the science technology plays an important role in the development of any nation. Over decades, India had many scientists who children looks up as their role models. These scientists, with their discoveries, have made India a renowned nation. We know the example of ISRO, how we have developed from scratch to launching number of satellites in using single space shuttle. Here, Sir Chandrasekhar Venkatraman, who also known as C.V. Raman, is one such prominent figure in science and technology. So, in the year 1928, C.V. Raman discovered the Raman effect, or Raman scattering, which defines the inelastic scattering of photons by the matter, which means there is an exchange of energy and change in light's direction. In 1930, uh, the scientist Dr. C.V. Raman won a Nobel Prize for his discovery. To celebrate his victory, we are celebrating the this day as a National Science Day. So the National Council for Science and Technology Communication asked the central government to mark this 28th February as National Science Day, and from which we are celebrating this day on every 28th February. So the significance of observing this day is spread the message about the importance of science amongst the youth and tell them how science is used in our daily lives. So it is observed to display activities, efforts and achievements in the field of science, and discuss development in the field of science. So basically, as Sir mentioned, the theme is the integrated approach in the science and technology for sustainable future. Across the country, people celebrating this day by arranging events, science fairs, quiz competition, etc. And our institute is also organizing such activities throughout the next week. And this is the from this function we are inaugurating, or we are starting this National Science Day activity. So it is my humble duty to introduce the chief guest about our institute. Yashwantrao Chauhan Institute of Science Satara is received A+ grade with CGPA of 3.57 in third cycle accreditation by NAC. Institute also received a national or innovation ranking framework, and institute comes in 100 to 150 group of colleges. Institute also received the status of college with potential for excellence from UGC, then star college activity from Department of Biotechnology. Institute also received ISO ranking of 9001 to 2015, then DST FEAST scheme. Institute also received Best College and Innovative College Award from Rayat Shikshan Samstha Satara. At present, Institute offers programs from 11 standards to PhD, and in addition with traditional BSc, Institute runs several professional courses. Apart from these courses, 37 career-oriented courses also conducted or given to students for their academic benefits. We institute also have a facility, that is Center for Innovation, Invention and incubation for the students or any people who have ideas regarding entrepreneurship or startups. So as a result of this, institute recognized as in the band of performer under the category of general, non-technical in Atal ranking of institutions on innovation achievement in 2021. Also, institute received 4-star ranking in Institution Innovation Council, which is a flagship program of Ministry of Education, Government of India. Now, institute is moving further towards from autonomy to university, and with this brief introduction about institute and this science theme, I once again I welcome all of you for this function, and I conclude here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Honorable Dr. V.Y. Deshpande, sir, to address the participants on the occasion of National Science Day. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I hope I am audible. So all of us have gathered together for the initiation, I'll say, of the science week that Dr. Paul was saying, which is to be celebrated by our institute. And as everybody knows, we celebrate this day in the memory of Dr. C.V. Raman and his research. And I think after Dr. C.V. Raman, there has not been a single scientist in India who has received an Nobel Award from India. So many Indian origin scientists have received it. And we are striving towards creating some scientists and carrying out research activities in our institute, in our state and nation, and so on and so forth. And we are supposed to provide scientists. And it is these type of activities, remembering our scientists and celebrating days, that are responsible for inducing the students, and not only students, the faculty members, for celebrating these type of days. Now, as Paul sir has already introduced the institute, I'd like to add something to that, and that is that in already in the month of October, the institute has become a university. The notification is out, and we have become a cluster university, which will soon be functional in a period of 1 year, or say next year onwards. Maybe we'll be admitting students in the Karmavir Bhaurao Patil University. And being a lead college, our institute is going to lead the university, and the basis will be science and research. And that is why Honorable Principal Dr. B.T. Zadav sir is working very hard for creating the, I'll say, a sort of environment related to research and research related activities, with Dean Mujawar sir conducting so many different activities along with the committee members. This is one such activity carried out by the post presentation committee and in collaboration with Institution Innovation Council. So what is necessary is the students should carry out the work or try to fulfill the expectations of say our policymakers. Say for example, this year's theme for this particular day is innovations in science and technology, say integrated approach in science and technology for sustainable future. So they are talking so big things, say integrated approach and so on and so forth, but we are forgetting sort of basics. We are aiming towards something which is, say, very high, and we are simply not following the basics, I'd say. Why? Because just now one of my friends said 3.557. Being a science faculty member, 3.57 is not a number. 3.57 is the correct thing. 3.57, say somebody from arts or commerce, if he says 3.57, it's okay. But science professor saying 3.57, not good. I hope the member will correct himself. It is 3.57. Similarly, what Dr. Syed Ilyas sir is expected to do is go for the basics. We are trying to aim very high, and we are forgetting ethics, which are necessary in science research. So this is a very good topic, and I think a very good platform for the week to be celebrated by Mujawar sir et al., I'll say. And our college is going to carry out so many activities, and this is a very, very good subject. Ethics necessary in science research. Being a member of the old say generation, what has happened is I will say that I have been through all these stages, say from 85 onwards, and research, the nexus on research was say the focus on research started somewhere when NAC was introduced. Because of NAC, individuals started going for research. Then there was a linking of API with promotions, and I think the research quality has gone down. I'll say it's a bold statement, but it is true. We are trying to copy something, we are trying to publish papers, we are trying to increase our API, and we are not looking at the quality. So this is not a very good thing. And Principal BT Zado has always, along with our IQEC coordinator Jay Chavan, Mujar sir, Ahire sir, there is a team of very enthusiastic young researchers in Vice Institute. I am naming only few. But now, in these last 2 years, we have started taking steps and we have started publishing papers only in Scopus or UGC CARE. And that is how our institute is moving forward. We are taking a very positive step towards, let's say, research activities. And I'm sure all the faculty members and the students, considering the number of science students in our institute, the number is very less. But as one of our principals used to say, Gardi noko dardi paije. I think Dr. Ilyas is having a very good audience of dedicated scientists, and I hope he can put across the idea regarding ethics necessary in research, science research. So all the best to Ilyas sir and all the participants. Hope we have a very nice and interactive session today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's move toward the program. I would like to request Pawar Madam to introduce and welcome our resource person, Dr. Syed Ilyas sir. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible, sir? Jadhav, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Very good morning, all of you. I'm here to introduce today's resource person, and it gives me immense pleasure to introduce such eminent person, Dr. Syed Ilyas, sir, Associate Professor, Department of Botany, Pune College of Art, Science and Commerce, Camp Pune. Dr. Syed Ilyas, sir, has 21 years of teaching and research experience. After obtaining his MSc with gold medal from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar University, Marathwada University, Aurangabad, with specialization in plant physiology, he subsequently received PhD from the same university. His area of research is plant physiology, leaf protein, enzymology, enzyme biotechnology, and bioinformatics. He has participated in more than 60 national and international conferences. He has presented more than 40 research papers in different national and international conferences. Then he, at various conferences and symposia, he is recognized the research guide at the University of Pune. He has guided 6 MPhil students and has published 35 research papers. He is a fellow of American Biographical Institute, North Carolina, USA, member of President of International Association of Science, Impact Pune. He has completed 2 research projects sanctioned by UGC, WRO, and BCUD, University of Pune. He has published 56 videos, documentaries on YouTube. He has authored 10 books on different subjects. Recently, he is working as an academic and research coordinator of the college. He is working as an agro consultant of P2P Private Limited, Pune. He is a recipient of the late Yamunabai Balwantarao Deshpande Award from Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He is a recipient of the Best Organizing Teacher Silver Medal from Jim Corbett Nainital. He is also recipient of the Paryavaran Dronacharya Award from the Indian Center for Wildlife and Environmental Studies in the South Asia region and the Award of Excellence in Research. We are so honored to have Dr. Ilyas sir as the resource person for today's function. So I request to Dr. Ilyas sir to guide us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to request Dr. Syed Ilyas sir to share a knowledge on the occasion of National Science Day. Over to you, sir.
Screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your screen is visible and your voice is also audible.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So at the outset, I'm very much thankful to Rayat Shikshan Sanstha and especially the authorities of this college, Yashwantrao Chauhan Institute of Science, Satara. With due respect to the principal, IQAC, Coordination Committee of the Celebration of Science Day program. So not only in India, but throughout all the countries in the world celebrating this event, that is Science Day, on the eve of the C.V. Raman. Just to give respect and honor to C.V. Raman, we are reminding this day in front of ourselves as well as for the academic or scientific community. So at the beginning only, I am very much thankful for giving me opportunity to interact with you on this topic on the occasion of Science Day celebration. So when I was interacting with Dr. Hangarge, he mentioned about this concept, that is research and publication ethics. As Professor Deshpande and principal mentioned about the devaluation of the research papers due to caste. So I'm also adding something with this concept proposed by Professor Deshpande, Vishwas Deshpande sir, that only for the caste we are thinking about the research, or we are just harvesting so many number of papers for the caste purpose. So this will not fulfill our requirement for the national development, for the development of a country. After C.V. Raman, nobody received this post or up to this Nobel cause because of so many reasons. So being a researcher, being a student of science, we have to think about research and we have to think about the ethics. So every individual person should frame their individual ethics. And if we are going to follow these ethics, then only we'll contribute something for the nation development. So as this institute belongs to entire science faculty, only mono faculty, that is science faculty. So I have prepared this presentation. I hope everybody knows all these things, but I have gathered some information. And if 1% of us follow these things, then definitely we'll prepare laurels to the college, laurels to the nation. So whenever we are talking about the research, whenever we are talking about the research, then what makes good research? So every researcher is going to think about good science as well as good ethics. So what are different things which cover when we are talking about the good science? So when we are planning, when we are designing a research, then we should be very focused while selecting the problem. We should know what problem we are going to solve through the research. Then our objective should be very smart. Then while planning the methodologies, we have to plan our methodologies in a proper way. And at last, we have to analyze our findings. So whenever, if anyone mentioned, while selecting or while designing any research hypothesis, then we should know what is our hypothesis, then what type of methodology we are going to adopt, what type of objectives we are going to set, what type of results we are going to present after analysis. So this is a very good methodology. And if we are thinking about these 4 key aspect, then definitely we'll produce good science. As far as good ethics are concerned, related with the good science, this is very important when we are going to think about the good ethics. So our subject selection should be very fair. If our senior is selecting this topic, then research guide will mention, my research theme is like this, and you have to continue this theme. No doubt we have to continue that theme. But while selecting the subject, it should be very fair. Sometimes what happens in my subject, earlier branch, that airborne pathology or the aerospora of XYZ library, one PhD student awarded. Aerospora of ABC library, then another PhD student will get degree. So every individual college library, one PhD thesis prepared by certain scientists or certain researcher. So this should not be tolerated by the UGC or by the Nation Development Committee. So while designing research, when we are talking about the ethics, then you have to design your experiment in such a way that it should favor the risk-benefit ratio. In addition to that, independent review you have to perform while designing the product. And informed consent. For example, if I am taking help of ICER or one scientist from Agarkar Research Institute, then I have to give honor to that particular person from where I have taken help. While publication, nobody is going to think about this small thing. Even though if I have taken help of laboratory assistant from Agarkar Research Institute, then I have to take consent from that particular person. In acknowledgement, I have to write their name, what type of help they have done for my research. So after some slides, I will go to the presentation concepts. So when we are talking about criteria of good science research, so it comprises three basic key aspects. Our research should be systematic. Our research should focus on methodological basis and scientific way. When we are talking about systematic, the research development or implementation how to present our research. So our presentation should be in a systematic way. It should go from lab to field. It should reach to the lab to field. Then what type of methodological things are there? So adopt and use skillfully the research methods, materials, approaches in order to ensure reliability on the results and findings. If I have mentioned from one single nanoparticle, I can generate energy of 3 million kilocalories. Is it possible? Nobody will believe it. So it should be reliable. It should be reliable. So when we are going to prepare a statement, when we are going to design a hypothesis, or when we are going to propose one hypothesis, it should be reliable. It should be reliable. So our methodologies, we have to design in such a way that it should support with our objective. It should be very supportive to our hypothesis. So when we are thinking about the third key aspect, that is our research, our good science should be scientific. So the research should be scientifically sound through utilizing scientific approaches, tools and techniques. It should not be hypothetical. It should be supportive with the scientific approaches. We have to prove our hypothesis. We have to prove our statements by utilizing various tools and techniques. So what's a good ethics? So we know what. So it works when it is applied before the research conducted. When we are designing our research, we should be very sincere enough to support our research problems. So remember well, most of the peoples, I'm not blaming any particular faculty, but if you go to the publications published by certain faculties, many people will mention, oh, this is from Google. This is from earlier papers. This review they have taken from XYZ senior faculty. So now try to avoid Control C and Control V, that is copy paste. So many students nowadays, what they are doing, they are identifying certain experts in IT. They are sending entire draft to the IT professionals and they are modifying after changing the synonyms of each and every word. This is very rare cases in science, but nowadays, why UGC develop a strategy to implement UGC care journals? Earlier, 81,000 journals they have deleted. Why? Because they are peer reviewed. And nowadays, they have made compulsory that Scopus and Web of Science, That is, by default, they have included in UGC care listed journals. What is the need to implement such type of hard decisions? Because of devaluation in the research ethics. Many peoples, they are doing control A, control C and control B research. So avoid plagiarism. Try to set your own research, try to set your own ethics and try to come with very good results, that is original results. Then develop confidentiality. Then responsible for publication with good results. Then you have to plan the data management. Whatever the data collected from the field or whatever the data collected from the laboratory, you have to manage that data. For example, during last 2 years, the data receiving from various laboratories or various government hospitals regarding the COVID-19. So if misinterpretation of that data results into the death penalties of the peoples. So initially, many peoples, they have collected false data from various hospitals and they have predicted that this wave will go up, that it will go down. So on the basis of that wrong predictions, media make falsified data in front of the public, or they make people panic. And as a result of which, you know well, if a psychological bombardment due to this data, then this results into direct effect on the human beings. So we have to avoid such type of falsified data management. So remember well, protection of human subjects. Whatever may be the subject directly related with the human life, so you should be very particular. For example, pharmacy peoples. So if a single mistake leads to results into lose of various lives, so we have to be honest and we have to maintain so many integrity. You know, this year's theme is like this only. What is the use of science and technology for the welfare of human beings? So this year's Science Day celebration theme is based on sustainable development. Then care of laboratories, animals, then try to send your information, try to take help of the laboratories which are government recognized as far as human trials are concerned. So don't decide yourself in the laboratories, yes, this is applicable like this is useful to this is useful to this one. Until and unless you are not going for human trials, don't make your statement at final stage. So that is a very premature statement. If you mention, if I have designed a drug, and I have mentioned this is very effective for anti-tumor or anti-cancer treatment. So this is very primitive statement. Many peoples, what they are doing, they are isolating some compound and again copy-paste research. On the basis of that copy-paste research, they are going to make this conclusion. Yes, this drug is very effective to cure the cancer patients. Until and unless you are not going to go for the human trials, don't make this statement. So in your conclusion, until and unless after successful completion of human trials, or if you are not going to take the help of clinical research laboratories, it is a very premature statement to make like this. Then respect IPR, intellectual property rights, you give respect. If any single image, if you are taken from any publication, you have to cite that particular, you have to give recognition, or you have to acknowledge that particular person, or you have to take permission, written permission from that particular researchers. Then objectivity, openness, you have to keep openness while publication, then avoiding scientific misconduct. So remember well, what is scientific misconduct? Okay, or research misconduct. So research misconduct is defined as fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or in reporting research results. So many times when we are going to, I'm a reviewer of 11 different international research journals, including Elsewhere and Springer also. So while going through the review for that particular paper, so most of the time we are going to think about this fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. So initially within one para or two para, we are going to know, yes, this paper is very much important, or this is fabricated data. So fabrication is making up data or results and recording or reporting them. Falsification is manipulating research materials. If I have already mentioned, if airborne pathogens from one particular region, how this is equivalent to another region. So this is manipulation of research data. Without doing research experiments, many teachers, many peoples, they are manipulating the research data on the basis of review. So remember well, falsification is manipulating research materials, equipments, or processes, or changing or omitting data or results. Then plagiarism. Everybody is aware about the plagiarism because university made compulsory this plagiarism concept. So plagiarism is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. If you're not going to take permission from a person who already doing this research, and if you are going to claim that this is my own idea, this is my own result, so this is very important as far as plagiarism is concerned. So research misconduct does not include honest error or differences of opinion. Differences of opinion may be there, but it not include the honest errors. There are certain errors. There are certain errors. It should be omitted. It should be neglected. But purposely, with some intention, if you are going to manage the data, then definitely you will be caught by the plagiarism rules. So research misconduct include the destruction of, absence of, accused person's failure to provide research records accordingly, documenting the required question research. So where to publish your research work? We know well, while publication, we have to complete our research with very high research ethics. And after findings, then publication is very important. Now see, we know well, C.V. Raman, that results published on the date of 28 February 1928. And the similar date in same 1928, Professor Griffith also published his work on genetic transformation. You know that virulent strain mice, they have done the experiment on mice. Similar year, same date, they have published that. So it goes, the research work continues. Other workers also publish the work afterwards. More greater work than Mr. Griffith, but the credit goes to Mr. Griffith. Why? Because he published his work earlier. So that date is very important. But nowadays, what happened due to this case, as Professor Deshpande, I appreciate the ideas or concept. He dare to say this statement that so many researchers, they are planning their research for cash only. So we have to, cash is a very simple process. Don't think about this, because if your publication is very effective or important for human lives, and if that falsification data is there, then so many people will lose their lives. If false data, if you are recommending. So what is a good journal? Remember well, minimum essential requirement of a journal. When you are deciding, now I have to publish my paper, I have to publish my research, then that journal must be available online. Nowadays, it should be easily searchable, easy to locate, and easy to share. So I'm going to mention index journals or elsewhere. It's a very good lobby elsewhere, and Springer is a very good lobby to publish the work. Okay. So, but you should remember that it should be available, that research journal should be available online. Must be peer reviewed, referee journal, standard referring system, minimum 3 reviewers. So must be indexed with some widely consulted database. It should be available, it should be attached with the PubMed Central, then Medline, Web of Science, and Scopus journal. Then Google Scholar is not an indexing database. Remember well, I repeat, Google Scholar is not an indexing database. While going through the homepage of individual research journal, you should be very particular about this. So most of the faculties, they are having Google Scholar, that profile. Okay, but remember well, Google Scholar is not indexing a database. So what is better journal then? What are optional requirement? Has got a good impact factor. Good impact factor, that is also a big question mark. So many agencies, they have claiming their own impact factor, but you should be very particular while selecting the impact factor. Try to give importance to the Scopus index journals. So it should be international. Editorial board must be international characters. Okay. So when you are going through the website of individual journal, you have to see what is the editorial board, which persons are there on the editorial board. So this is very important. This create a very good impact on your publication. So that journal has got good SNIP, SJR ranking, site scores, and so on. There are so many criteria are there. So it is open access journal, systematic requirement. Okay. So Scopus features to such citation indicators to measure a journal's impact. Okay. So source normalized impact per paper, SNIP. Okay, the long form of this particular concept, that is source normalized impact per paper. So how many papers they are using your research, how many people they are referring your papers on the basis of that statistics. So that ranking of the journals depends. So while going to give impact factor by the standard agencies, they are going to consider all these things. Okay, they are going to see the source of your paper, then journal rankings. I'm not going to go in detail due to time constraints. So you just remember it should be very good impact factor journals. Okay. So many people's what they are going to think, they are going to see the convenience as many people they are doing. So we are thinking about the cash purpose. So remember well, when we are going to send the paper, takes minimum time for editorial decisions. Many journals they are taking too much time nowadays. If suppose if you are going to go for patent, so you need some early publications. So try to select good journals which take minimum time for editorial decisions. So provide easy online submission process. So what is the stage of your manuscript? That system you have to see. Many good journals, they are adopting this methodology. Earlier, the offline publications, offline journals, you cannot find such type of facilities. But nowadays, in this digital era, we are having so many agencies, they are following this concept of showing you the status, just like Speed Post. It started from Delhi, it reached to the Pune head office, from Pune head office to the local area. So every stage along with the schedule. So like this decision system. So manuscript tagging facilities are available. So try to follow these journals. The known acceptance rate. So no article processing fee. This is very important. Underline this. No article processing fees. But because nowadays what happened? Many people, oh, this journal is taking 900 rupee. So it is UGC care listed journal. It is peer reviewed journal. So it is very good. And if one journal is having 4,000 fees, someone taking 20,000 also. So try to avoid such journals. You have to identify the journals. They should give some honorary amount to you. Find out certain journals like this in your respective subject. There are so many journals are there. They are providing you some honorary fees. So color printing charges, some journals they are taking, then reprint charges, submission fees. Try to avoid such journals. So be careful about these claims. Okay. So fake impact factors, fake journal metrics. So author pays, model of open access. So fake peer review process. You know, some editors, they are claiming that our journal is peer reviewed journal, but individually that editor only take decision to publish that paper or not. Like this, some fake journals are there. They are claiming on the home page, our journal is peer reviewed, but they are not following the peer review system, or they are not following the peer review process. So try to avoid these journals. So don't fall prey to call for papers. Now, for example, myself, I am receiving in a week more than 10 emails. You are invited to publish your research. So don't follow such journals. They are requesting, send your paper. Our journal is UGC care listed journal or peer reviewed journal. So don't send papers. Don't waste your time to publish your paper because it will not reach maximum people. So claims such as under the process of PubMed indexing, claims such as indexed in elsewhere. So don't send your paper to such journals. So now remember well, bogus journal metrics. So all the following examples. Advanced Science Index. Okay, so don't send if any journal, if you observed such things or such sentences on there, that Advanced Science Index, Directory of Journal Quality Factors, International Scientific Indexing, International Impact Factor Services, then GISI Impact Factor, Global Impact Factor, Universal Impact Factor. Okay, so try to avoid to send your papers if anybody is claiming their journal belongs to these categories. Earlier, so many people, for example, Global Impact Factor, say 1.5. Many people, they are taking benefit. They have taken benefit by claiming that augmented API score by addition of that impact factor with the addition of. So nowadays, UGC all omitted these things and they have focused on the scopus or web of science. So being a researcher, being an author while sending the paper, so there are certain responsibilities of author. So we should think our work should be original. We have to maintain originality. We have to maintain good record keeping system. So integrity, honesty, and objectivity should be there while framing or while publication. Then we should be very open and transparent. If I have taken help of one of my friend in one laboratory, then I have to write his name as author. I have to write his name at least in acknowledgement. Respect for IPR. Nowadays, we are science, particularly science peoples, we have very focused while doing the research. But in other faculties, I will not take the name of the faculties or the streams or different courses, different peoples. They are not going to give respect to the IPR. If someone claim, there are so many cases, there are so many legal cases in the past that someone took research data from one particular XYZ author and they have published on their own name. So this should be avoided. Why? Because if you are going to give respect to the IPR, then only it is possible. Then declaring conflict of interest. Many research editorial board policy, they are asking, is there any conflict of interest? Then you have to mention if you are having conflict of interest or disclosures. Submitting copyright agreements. You have to submit your copyright agreement that you have not published this paper in any other journal. You are not violating the Copyright Act. Then obtaining consent to reuse publication content. So this is very important. Then responsibility, correctness, withdrawing. If you are suppose publication, if you are sending your paper in some national journal, and if you have acceptance with international journal, then you have to withdraw from national because it will give wide publicity at international level. As far as authorship is concerned, in API also, we know first author, corresponding author, third and fourth, and on the basis of that, points are distributed accordingly. So what is meant by first author then? The one who has carried out the actual work and has written the manuscript. My appeal to research guides, give this authorship to your students because they have carried out this actual work. But just to claim API, many people, they are writing their name as a first author. Try to avoid this practice because this is a matter of ethics. So what is meant by first author? The one who has carried out actual work and has written the manuscript. So that is the first author. What is meant by corresponding author? Now we are having, being a teacher, we are having flexibility here. Usually the senior most and the last author, corresponding author should work accordingly. The one who originally conceived the study, planned it, and approved the final manuscript to be published. So here the role of research guide or research supervisor. Then second and third authors who help in carrying out the work and also in manuscript preparation. For example, if I am planning to design a drug, I have isolated one compound. For example, other plant is observed in Mahabaleshwar, for example. I am in Pune. One of my friend is in Agarkar Research Institute. One of my friend is working in Belgium Research Laboratory. So we four designed this concept. So I have collected the data I have collected the sample of Adatoda from the Mahabaleshwar. Then I have processed that simple isolation. I have removed that particular drug from that plant in my research laboratory. And then for further process, I have sent that particular material to the Agarkar Research Institute. Then they have purified that compound. And that purified compound, if they have sent to Belgium for further studies, for structure design, for how many affinities among, then structure designing, 3D structure predictions. So we four contributed. Everyone's contribution is there. Everyone's contribution is there. Now you have to decide. You have to decide how much contribution. First author, second author, third author, fourth author, and so on. So on. So this is called an integrated approach for sustainable development. For sustainable development. So authorship issue is very important. There are so many court matters are there for claiming the authorship. For claiming the authorship. So those who did not contribute to your study but help you in writing the manuscript. So this is a question mark. So those who contributed to your study but did not help you in writing the manuscript, for example, you have to give their name in acknowledgement, or you have to decide to write their name in the author. But nowadays what happened? For example, one research guide, they are having 4 research students. So they will give instruction to first student, you write 2 papers and write other 3 people's name in your paper. So likewise 4 multiplied by 4, 16 research paper. Number is increasing. No use. So this is violation of research ethics. If one person perform their original research, let him publish with single name. Don't encourage your research student to write others' name in their research paper just to increase the number. Because most of the time, at the time of interview, being a subject expert, I used to ask to the students, what is your contribution? 6 names are there in one paper, 7 names are there in one paper. If I ask, what is your contribution? Just blindly they used to see, because they don't have any contribution in that publication, because that is someone other's work. So try to avoid such type of things, such type of practices while publication. So authorship issues are there, guest authorship, gift authorship, and ghost authorships are there. Okay, the most common unethical practice is to include the name of the PhD advisor or department head as an author. Guest authorship, remember well, most of the time, just this is our head of the department. So this is my PhD supervisor. That's why I have mentioned. So remember well, gift authorship, this is a very good concept. So the author hasn't contributed to research or writing, but his oblique her credentials can increase the credibility of the published work. So this is guest authorship. Just to write the name of one famous person, just to make your paper very popular. Don't do such type of things. Okay, remember well. Then gift authorship concept is there nowadays. The author may be an association with the research or manuscript, but does not qualify the 4 criteria defined by the ICMJE. Remember well. So this is a concept. This is a concept. Okay, if contribution is there, definitely you have to include their name. Then ghost authorship. What is meant by ghost authorship? The author should have been recognized as the author according to the ICMJE guidelines, but is excluded from the list. The most common unethical practice is to exclude professional writers working in medical communications for pharmaceutical companies. So many things, if suppose isolation of drug or some compound is designed by one author, then they are taking help of some professional writers. Why? Because they are having very good English, they know how to construct a sentence. So people, they are writing, they are taking help of such peoples, and they are writing their name also. So remember well, the authorship issues can also include changes in the order of the author name. Someone, for example, 4 people, they have completed their work. There are so many issues are there in the court. For instance, the name of the author who has supposed to be 3rd in the list appears 5th. So moreover, the disputes arise because of the missing or omitted authors who were part of the study. For example, research guide is there, then 2 students are there. One is working on genetic engineering, another is working on bioinformatics aspects, and they have completed that work. They have completed that work and they have published that. But sometimes, if research guide dispute in between one research guide and one student, and they have omitted the name, but that student actually carried out the work for that publication, then that student will reach to the court. that this experimental work I have done, this is my contribution, this is my addition. So there are so many disputes. So just to give a proper justification to your work. So authorship issues are there. So what are different recommendations by ICMG? So as far as authorship is concerned, so remember well, substantial contribution to the conception or design of the work or the acquisition, analysis or interpretation of the data for the work. So this is the first point. When you are going to give authorship, then that person should contribute to the conception or design of the work, contribution in the design of work or acquisition, analysis or interpretation of the data. Second thing, drafting the work. If a person who draft the work or it help to revise or critically analysis for important intellectual contents. And final approval of the version of the published work. Then agreement to be accountable for an aspect of the work in ensuring that questions related to the accuracy or integrity of any part of the work are appropriately investigated and resolved. So if a person is responsible for all these four aspects, so this is recommended by ICMJE for the authorship. Now you ask anyone, if you observed 4 names, 5 names, 6 names, you ask these 4 questions to them. Is there any contribution among these 4 points? If he says yes, then you declare, yes, this is the original author. If their contribution is not based on these 4 key aspects, then you mention that this is falsified data or this is fabricated data, because so many authors' names are there, but their contribution is not there in the publication. So try to avoid this. And this is a very strong ethical consideration. As far as authorship or ethical considerations are there, so involvement in study, if it is low, then not included in the acknowledgement, not listed as author. You are not supposed to give weightage as authorship. If the consideration or the involvement in the study, if it is high, then include their name either in acknowledgement or list their name as the author. If involvement in preparation of manuscript, if it is low, if a person's involvement in the preparation of manuscript, if it is low, then not include their name in the acknowledgement, or you are not supposed to give weightage or not supposed to list that particular person as author. If their involvement in the writing of manuscript, if it is high, then include their name in the acknowledgement or include their name as the author. So this is a authorship ethical considerations. So what are responding of a reviewer comments? So there are so many reviewers and they are sending some comments. So corresponding author's responsibility. So how to give response, quick response to the reviewer's comment? Who will decide among the authors? So the corresponding author's responsibility to respond the reviewer's comment. So revise the manuscript thoroughly as per the reviewer's recommendations. Follow reviewer's instruction as far as possible. So deny politely if you must. Give your point by point response. Highlight the changes in the manuscript with yellow color. Resubmit only after consulting your co-authors. Stick to the time frame. Remember well, if some reviewer out of 3 reviewers, if one of the reviewer mentioned, yes, this reference is some ambiguity, so kindly resend this particular reference. So with very polite language, you have to mention, yes, sir, I have gone through the original research paper proposed by XYZ author, and the claim mentioned in my manuscript is right, and I want to publish with the same. So deny that politely, deny that particular comments politely. So likewise, responsibility, this is the responsibility of corresponding author. And before final publication, you have to show that findings to your co-authors. Before resubmitting your paper to the editor, then you have to take consent of your co-authors, whatever the changes are going to happen with your manuscript. So falsification, I have mentioned that German cancer research case is a very popular court case in 1998, German Research Funding Agency looked at 347 papers published by two researchers. So in one research laboratory, so this is a very popular court case. So only two research papers, they have published 347 research paper. So it concluded that 29 of these contained falsified material and found evidence of data manipulation, leading to a suspicious and fraud in a further 65 papers. So they have manipulated the data and they have published their papers. So in most cases, the falsification of illustrations of blood and other cells was noted. So this leads to the direct relation with the human life. So try to avoid such practice. So with this, I'm going to thank to each and uh, every participant from this Science Institute. And at last, I'm thankful to principal of this college and this innovation cell of Yashwantrao Chauhan Institute of Science, Satara as autonomous college. And I'm also thankful to institutions innovation council of this college. I'm thankful to Professor Hangarge, then Dr. Paul, then Dr. More sir, Dr. Mujawar, then Vice Principal Dr. Deshpande, and at last, the backbone of this institute, the main source of inspiration of this institute, Principal Dr. B.T. Zadhav sir, for inviting me to interact with you all. So I'm thankful to one and all. Thank you so much. Over to the organizer.
Hello, sir. आवाज येतोय? Am I audible? Okay. So it gives me an immense to propose thanks. So my goes to the Institute, Honorable Principal Dr. Badu Sahib for promote and inspire to celebrate National Science Day. Our respected chief guest, Dr. Dilya, stated many points like good research and good ethics. What make good research criteria? Also, he has better for publication and his optional requirements or optional requirements that, and what are the points to be noted? We should be careful with the forthcoming activities, and Dr. R.B. Moore also the and activity to be carried out in the projects like the president IC Sushant as was a wide introduction, and I also thank to deans, students, and one and all. Thank you, sir. Spencer. On the grand permission of Honorable Principal and Vice Principal, I declare that this session is over. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
सर छान झाला कार्यक्रम.